If you look at page 192, lesson 33, you'll see, or lesson 30, you'll see the various things that we're going to cover. There is much grammar in this chapter. So we'll take it a bit at a time. Fortunately, however, we have very few forms, just that one set, 459. So, first of all, let's look at the vocabulary. Paragraph 455, emas ion, belonging to me or my, empros then, in front of or in the presence of, enopion, before, exo, outside, ekthros, an enemy, than, or, imetros, aon, idios, aon, belonging to me, to oneself or one's own, ikonos, eon, iskiroteros, aon, stronger, a comparative of iskiros, and kalos, an adverb, krison, better, the comparative of agathos, malon, adverb, more or rather, meson, own, greater, comparison of megas, me, lest, in order that, me pote, lest, perchance, opos, in order that, and this will be used just like the ina, opos, in order that, ina, in order that. Then on the next page, don't miss those vocabulary, top of 193, pleon, own, more, a comparative of police, and sabbaton, do, a Sabbath, and sos, eon, belonging to you or yourself, belonging to you or your, and imeteros, aon, belonging to you or your, plural. Now, the main burden of this chapter, I suppose, is the comparative. So we need to look at the comparative and superlative degree of adjectives. And I've given you a chart in your workbook on page 59, and you'll see the comparison between this and the English, the Greek and English comparative. There is, in the adjectives, you'll find the positive, comparative, and superlative degree. Now, by positive, we mean you're just looking at one. You're saying he is strong. Comparative, you're looking at two, and you're saying one is stronger than the other. Three, you're looking at two or more, and that's the superlative. Three or more, and you're saying this one is strongest of those. So, that's what we have in English, strong, stronger, strongest. In Greek, the same kind of thing is iskiros, iskiroteros, iskirotatos. Now, you'll see the teros there and the tatos there. That's equivalent to our er and est. Er, teros. A regular adjective will have in English er for comparative, in Greek, teros. In English, the superlative will be est. In Greek, it will be tatos. Now, just as in English, so in Greek, you may have irregular adjectives, like little, less, least. They are not using this ending. You don't say little, littler, littlest. Well, they're irregular. You have to learn. You can't look at little and tell that less is going to be its comparative. The same is true of mikros. Mikros, you don't say mikros, mis whatever, teros and tatos. You say mikros, elason, elakistas. So those are the comparative, the irregulars, comparative and superlative of the adjective. Now, in 459, we have, he's given us the forms of meson. Meson is the comparative of megas, and the forms are, this is an irregular, obviously, and all those forms are there, look like the third declension in each of these. Masculine and feminine the same, the neuter separate, but they are on the basis of the third declension. Now, I put some things in the chart here. The alternate form of meson, he tells you about that in paragraph 461. The comparative form, adverb form, 464. And the alternative form for mezus, 461 there. So you'll see them in those particular paragraphs. Now, the On page 461, or 194, paragraph 461 and following, we're going to see some grammar. We just want to look at the book, get your Machen open at that paragraph, especially 462, beginning with the genitive of comparison, and we're going to look at the book, what Machen says about it, and the workbook, how we're going to diagram that and show that grammar. So, paragraph 462. The genitive of comparison. Oh, by the way, while we're at it, we're getting several more uses of the cases in this chapter, so have page 5A ready, and when we get to, when we finish with the looking at this grammar, then we'll look at the uses of the cases on the chart. Now, genitive of comparison. A genitive, the example he has here is, greater things than these will he do. Greater than these. And the two-tone there, the second word in that example, is the genitive of comparison. And I've diagrammed it in this way. He will do things greater than these. And the genitive of comparison is simply modifying the mizunah. And then the second illustration, men love darkness. Men love darkness more than light. Men loved, and I have here the more, malon as an adverb under agapisan. They loved more darkness than light. And that's just one way of doing it. I think that's probably the better way. They loved darkness. They loved more darkness than the light, folks. Seems like the better way to do it, in my estimation. Then, paragraph 466, the genitive with adverbs of place. Exo is an adjective. By the way, the breathing on there is the smooth breathing, not the rough. The rough breathing would be I shall have. Exo, outside. And then if it's used with a noun, the noun would be in the genitive. So we call this the genitive with adverbs of place. And it's a prepositional adverb and should be diagrammed as any other prepositional phrase right under the verb. He went out of the city. And that's exo with the genitive. Genitive with adverbs of place. Paragraph 467, genitive of time within which. He took the child and his mother by night. This is page 60 of your workbook. He took the child and his mother, niktos, genitive of time within which, during the night. And I put it under the verb. I think that describes when he did it, so it'd be adverbial. So, niktos would be the genitive of time within which. Then, paragraph 468, we have the articular infinitive expressing purpose. Now, when you express purpose, you really get with it, and you can see how that works right there. Expressing purpose. We've seen purpose expressed several times. Now we've seen it with ina. We've seen a post can be that. Now, to with the infinitive. Just plain old to with the infinitive. Nothing else to go with it. You see it diagrammed here, paragraph 468. To plus the infinitive. To baptize, to be baptized by him. He went out to the prophet to be baptized by him. Why did he go out? In order to be baptized. So that's to with the infinitive, purpose. Then in paragraph 469, the dative of respect. This is Rodney Dangerfield's, I guess. The dative of respect, he was being known by face. And you see the to prosopo, that's the by face there. And in your workbook, paragraph 469, you'll see it diagrammed under being known there, by face. I'll look at the workbook after I mention all these. Then he says, pure in heart. And another one, a man named Jacob, or James, the Old Testament Jacob, a man named James, so he really was James by name. And so the anamati there is the dative of respect. Look at these in the workbook. He was known by face, pure with respect to the heart. He was, with respect to name, James. Then the paragraph 470, the accusative of specification. You can wow somebody with that one. The men, about 5,000 in number, sat down. So the men, how many men? Be specific. Well, not that specific, about 5,000 in number. So the men, about 5,000 numbers. See, there's os with the used with numbers, translated about. Then the dative of time, the time when, not time within which now. He healed on the Sabbath, paragraph 471. He healed on the Sabbath. This is not the normal way of saying it, but sometimes you'll find that. Dative of time. Then this is usually, he says, paragraph 472, that's usually expressed by prepositional phrase, ento sabato. Now, the possessive adjective, paragraph 473. You see the possessive adjective, amos, my. You can get real serious about that one, can't you? And then you see the next one, sos, your, and imetros, our, and imetros, your. Sometimes these are used in place of the genitive case of the personal pronoun. Paragraph 475, me used as a conjunction. I fear lest he come. And you see in the workbook, paragraph 475, page 61, I fear lest he come. Use it just like you would ot or ina or on, lest he come. And it doesn't mean not there, it means lest. It's negative purpose, but it's a conjunction. Then, paragraph 476, negative purpose by me instead of by ina me. Ina me, in order that not or lest, but me can do that just as well. So, we translate again the paragraph 476, the me right here, you come into judgment. So you do lest you come into judgment. Then the paragraph 477, ina with subjunctive in various uses. Normally we think of ina as expressing purpose. And you remember that in 1 John I said the purpose is not the only way it can be used. Sometimes it means result. He's not going to mention that here. But he's saying here, using it as a noun clause. And I have an illustration here. Say to these stones, and he's saying what you should say. Say that they should become bread. Right? And this is giving the content of what he said. We call this the epexegetical, giving the content of it. Then as an apposition, this, that you love one another, is my commandment. So you don't translate it in order that, you simply translate it that you love one another. So ina can be used in several ways in that, more than just ina. Then you'll see the 478, me is used, questions expecting a negative answer are expressed by me with the indicative. Now this is very important because sometimes people in the New Testament we find a question and we know, is he asking us to say yes or no? Well, here's the way he does it. Here's the way Machen expresses it. Example, are we stronger than he? Now you see that's a me there. That's expecting a negative answer. And what you probably would say is, a better way to say that would be, we're not stronger than he, are we? And you say, no. And then you can elicit a negative answer from that. Another example is expecting a positive answer. Are we not stronger than he? Of course we are. Right? So you phrase your question in English to express that construction in Greek. Now, we mentioned the uses of the cases. We've had several here, so we want to get them in your workbook. So please open your workbook, page 5A, and we'll put a few more in here. In the genitive, we want to add the genitive of comparison, paragraph 462, genitive of comparison. Then the genitive as the object of an adverb of place, paragraph 466. And the genitive of time within which, those three. Comparison, adverb of object of adverb of place, and the time within which. Time within which is 467. Then for the dative, we have the dative of respect, paragraph 469. We have the dative of time, 471. And with the accusative, we have the accusative of specification, paragraph 430. Now we come to 1 John. 1 John chapter 2, verses 5 and 6. I hope you're enjoying your 1 John study. This is really good, not just to translate and diagram, but what does it mean? You may want to pick up a good commentary and see what's happening here. The love of God has been perfected truly in this one. In which one? Well, the one, whoever, keeps his word. Remember this, the indefinite relative? Whoever that may be. Whoever keeps his word. So, this is in a positive then with tuto. Has been perfected. Teliao. Perfect tense here. This is a subjunctive following osan. Present subjunctive. This one is a present active indicative and another present active indicative. In this we know that we are in him. So we know what? We know that we are in him. Again, OT used as a noun clause. It's interesting, you may be thinking, well, why doesn't he put something opposite here? In a real sense, whenever you have tuto, you could do that. In this, in what? Well, in all of this, probably. So you can get really strange if you want to put all that in there, then your verse wouldn't make too much sense. But in a sense, you can remember now, say to yourself, in what? And then you say, oh yeah, in this. That's how we know that we're in him, if we're keeping his word. So sometimes we will do that, make it look, it's obvious and it's small. Otherwise, we'll just look at it as an antecedent. In that sense. Aha. The one who is saying to abide in him. Remember this back in paragraph 306 of the Infinitive chapter? The one saying to abide in him are really saying, I abide in him, remember? Also, he also ought thus to walk. And there's paragraph 302, 298, the complementary infinitive. He ought to walk just as that one walked. The one who is saying, I abide in him, himself also, paragraph 105, himself also ought thus to walk, just as that one walked. So John gives us a good exhortation there, as well as a good Greek lesson, that if we are going to say we abide in Christ, then we ought to walk just as he walked. We'll see what other things John has for us when we come back next time with lesson 31.